Greetings and welcome to the Astronomy Picture of the Day podcast. Today's picture is titled Earthset. So, what do we see here? Well, here we see our Earth off in the distance as a crescent phase and looking at it over the limb of the moon. And this was taken on April 6th, just before the Earth set behind the moon. And that would have occurred for the Artemis II mission, where it flew around behind the moon. Now, as it flew around behind the moon, it would then be out of contact with Earth, and in this case for about 40 minutes. And that would be when the Earth was behind the moon from their perspective. So the Earth would no longer have a direct line of sight, and there would be no way for them to communicate for that period of time. And then 40 minutes later, we would have seen Earth rise, and you may have seen pictures of that as well that have been released by NASA. So here we get to see our own Earth. We note that it's a crescent phase, and the Earth, just like the moon, will go through a series of phases over the course of a month. So it'll actually mirror the moon's phases and be the opposite phase. So if we see a full moon from Earth, then someone around the moon looking back toward Earth would see a new Earth, with Earth being between the moon and sun. So any solid object like this will go through phases when viewed from various perspectives. We notice this with our moon, and especially with the inner planets. They are the ones that get between Earth and sun and allow us to see the various phases, especially the crescent phase like we see here. But any other object, if viewed from the proper perspective, any solid object that is not giving off its own light like our sun, would go through a complete cycle of phases over a period of time, depending specifically on its orbit. Now, this image was taken by the Artemis II mission, which was the Orion spacecraft known as Integrity, which recently traveled around the moon and is now on its way back to Earth. So this was a test mission to test out a lot of the equipment there to actually fly to the moon with humans on board for the first time since 1972. It was just a quick lap around the moon, essentially launching from Earth, putting it into a very long, elongated orbit that reached to the moon, passing the moon, going around the far side of the moon, and then coming back to Earth. And we'll return in several days. We'll be returning and splashing down in the Pacific Ocean. Now, returning to the moon really helps us to learn more. We're still learning more about the moon's surface. There are parts of the moon that we cannot see from Earth. So half the moon we can see that always faces us, but the other half is always hidden, always pointing away from Earth. So the only way to see that is to travel out around the moon to be able to do that. And the astronauts of the Artemis II mission did some of that, studying some of the impact basins on the moon, looking at some of the craters that have formed, and trying to be able to better understand those. Now, about 40 minutes after this image was taken, again, another one was taken showing Earth rising over the other limb of the moon, and that would signify the return, that the Artemis II mission is then on its way back to Earth. It did make a new record for the greatest distance that humans have gone away from Earth, surpassing the distance that occurred during the Apollo 13 mission back in 1970. So this is now the mission that has humans going the farthest distance away from Earth, a little bit farther than the astronauts did back in 1970. So that was our picture of the day, titled Earthset. We'll be back again tomorrow for the next picture, previewed to be the death of a comet. So we'll see what that is about tomorrow. And until then, have a great day, everyone, and I will see you in class.